Hey everybody, Dave Neal here, host of the Bachelor Recaps, a guy's review. If you guys haven't been following, I've been covering the Colton Underwood, Cassie Randolph restraining order issue that's been going on. I did not expect to be making 3 different videos about it, but new information keeps coming out, and I think it's really important for all of us in society to really digest what's going on here and talk about it. And I've been getting so many messages from all of you, private messages, comments on Facebook, Reddit, different places, telling me your own personal stories. It is crushing to hear that so many people have so many different stories dealing with restraining orders, and they never either had someone to talk to about it, or it's just been kept in the, it's been kept, I don't know, in situations where you just don't get to air out your issues. And I think it's important that we do, because a lot of times, like this issue with Colton Underwood, no one really realized in the public sphere how controlling and jealous and manipulative he was, or he actually is. And this is a situation where, you got to have friends that take your phone away and say, you're doing something wrong. You're obsessive. You need to go get a new hobby. You need to meet new people. You need to go on a voyage, a sabbatical, go into, the desert, go to Joshua Tree, eat some mushrooms, do something, but stalk your ex in her alleyway at 2 a.m. So I just got hold of the request for domestic violence restraining order, the original copy. So I want to read it, and at the very end, it'll go over some of the messages he was sending to Cassie. So stick around for that, and then hopefully this is the last video we have to make about this issue until, of course, they go to court for what I believe will be the real restraining order, which can go around 3 years.
As the scene kicks off, you can feel the tension building right from the start. The visual storytelling here is on point, immediately hooking you into the narrative. The music swells, adding intensity to the unfolding drama. This is a prime example of pacing done right, with every shot carefully crafted to amplify the stakes. The characters are thrown into a high-octane moment, and you can't help but lean in closer. It's a perfect way to start this adrenaline-fueled journey. Don't blink, because things are just getting started.
All right, so we go here. So name a person asking for protection, Cassie Randolph. I asked the court to order the persons not to do the following things to me or anyone listed: harass, attack, strike, threaten, assault, sexually or otherwise hit, follow, stalk, molest, destroy personal property. And everyone says, why don't they handle this privately? Because this is violent stuff that can happen. This is violent stuff. You don't get to just make this private. This is not only something that's going to affect Cassie, but anyone who kind of surrounds themselves with Colton. And he needs to know that he's not the victim here, that he's not the guy who's, been heartbroken and he was just, trying to do the right thing. This is bad behavior that needs to be corrected. And maybe it's early enough that he can correct it. But I think it'll be good for him that all of his dirty laundry is being aired out there, because people can look at it and go, geez, that's not the Christian charitable man we know. So the stay away order, part 7 says they asked the court to have him stay at least 100 yards away from her home, job, workplace, her vehicle, her school, and also she noted her parents' home in Huntington Beach. Because, of course, that's where she found the tracker. She hired a private investigator to find out who was stalking her, found a tracker in her car, and that's when Colton admitted to her, I planted the tracker, probably wanting her to just, slow down and stop pursuing it, knowing she was going to find out it was him anyway. But, of course, that backfired.
The plot thickens in this part, and it's nothing short of a masterclass in suspense. Just when you think you've got a handle on the situation, the creators flip the script. The visuals are stunning. Every frame meticulously designed to keep you on the edge of your seat. What really stands out is how the tension between the characters begins to unfold. You can almost feel the underlying conflict simmering. The stakes are getting higher, and there's no turning back now.
By the way, I got some messages from people I wanted to read. Just unbelievable stuff, the comments that people were leaving. Someone wrote in, she said, I'm a family law paralegal working in California. I see these kinds of issues every day. So it's mind-boggling how we don't talk about this issue more. It's such a devastating event that is so pervasive throughout all cultures and societies. It's also disgusting how often the perpetrator's behavior is normalized, passed off as love bombing, I will never give up, and virtuous. You can clearly tell Colton views Cassie as a possession that needs to maintain power and control over people, is where all domestic violence incidents stem. I deal with some very egregious cases, physical torture, psychological violence. However, domestic violence always starts small and escalates when perpetrators test their victims' boundaries. The more they test and pass, the bigger the actions become. I'm glad Cassie reached out for help when she did, and for the resources to do so. People need to understand these behaviors will always escalate. Isn't this incredible? So if anyone's out there with any sort of issues like this, nip that in the bud right now. Get help. If you're going to stay with someone, let them know what their issues are, define the boundaries, and just don't accept it if they cross them. Cole responded on one of my YouTube videos. She said, I feel like if a beloved, handsome celebrity NFL player and actor like O.J. Simpson could stalk, beat up, and ultimately knife Nicole Brown to death because she rejected him and saw something dark in him, who's to say Colton, another Golden Boy NFL player and reality TV actor, couldn't stalk and eventually kill Cassie for leaving him? Love and infatuation makes people do sick things. They think they're lost. They think they've lost something they have earned with that person, and they refuse to let another person have them. If he snapped this much over her breaking up with him, imagine what he'll want to do when she's moving on to a new interest. Plus, he's probably furious and humiliated that she's reported him and made all this public. He's basically undateable now into all other women. That is so right. Thank you so much for that comment, Cole. You guys are killing it with just how accurate and spot on you are with all this. Again, like I said before, take my willful or my ignorance here, my blissful ignorance that, you know, you don't get to see these problems firsthand as a guy. You really don't, you know, and it's not a white knight of me to say that we're not all like that. I think most guys try the best they can, and they understand rejection and they move on and they become better from that. But then there's some guys that, whether it's they're so self-centered, narcissist, whatever, they can't see a life without that possession that they got, and they'll do whatever they can to stop it. And people are telling Cassie, you know, most people agree with her on this, but there's some people that are talking about her being like wanting publicity and this and that. Colton's 6'5", 250 pounds. Love and hate are very similar emotions.
Boom. This part is a game changer. What we have here is sheer chaos, but in the best possible way. The pacing is absolutely relentless, and it's clear the creators have mastered the art of high-stakes action. Whether it's the camera angles, the rapid-fire editing, or the unyielding intensity of the moment, this sequence demands your full attention. It's a roller coaster of emotions, and by the end of it, you'll be left gasping for air. This is what happens when every second counts.
So for him to go from whatever love he had for Cassie to this controlling, walking through dark in the night, can't control my emotions, and you know, you want to relate it back to O.J. Simpson, at this point I think we can. I think we can relate it back to O.J. Simpson. He was very possessive in a relationship and would rather kill somebody, allegedly, right, rather than deal with, you know, her moving on. And it's just, you know, you can even talk about CTE, you know, brain injuries. I played football too, but these guys, 250 pounds running into each other, you know, just saying, there's some issues that need to be worked out. So there's actually additional text messages that were left in the back of the restraining order. And of course, since Cassie filed this restraining order request, the judge granted the temporary restraining order, the TRO, right? He already requested that. So next month, in October sometime, Cassie's going to have to go into the same room with the person she's getting a restraining order against and prove her case. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to do that. I can only imagine a lot of courage. So here are some of the text messages that were sent to Cassie from Colton, and it's bizarre. I mean, it's really, I wish there was some lighter topic that we could be talking about today, but this is insane. So he said to her, I'm not like your ex. I'm not going to sit around and let you use me and abuse me. This playbook is all too familiar. I remember talking to myself when you went back and filmed your young ones with Michelle during Bachelor to clarify your position with him, and asking myself, if this chick just did that to her ex of 5 years, what's she going to do to me?
Now we shift gears, and the dramatic shift is striking. The energy of this part brings a sense of urgency. Every word, every action feels like it carries monumental weight. The shift from action to high-stakes conversation is executed perfectly, setting the stage for the final battle of wits. The cinematography here is impeccable, with lighting and color choices that heighten the tension even further. What makes this moment so captivating is how personal it gets. The stakes have never been this high for our characters, and it's almost impossible to predict what comes next.
I'm praying for you and hoping you have a deep dive within yourself and your motives with the people in your life. You have a good heart and good people in it. I hope you don't drive them away. It's very Luke P. of him saying, like, oh, I'm praying for you. Bro, we're praying for you. We're praying for you to get your head together. He said, it's crazy to think we used to be in a position of love. I ask myself all the time how someone who I loved and loved me could do these things and then and say the things they do. She said, what caused this? Why are you so angry? And then he said, you would ditch Linda in a second if a new opportunity came up. And then she said, fuck you for saying that. Linda's my friend, so fuck off. she's got her boundaries set. She's not dealing with this anymore. She doesn't have an obligation to deal with this. He said, because you're a selfish person who isn't ready to be loved, I spent 2 years loving you the best I could, and now I'm sitting here feeling like a fool. You've hurt me beyond words. I've always done nothing but be there for you, and you still disrespect me all the time. It's embarrassing. I'm over it. And this is that resentfulness that comes with love sometimes when it's toxic love. When it's toxic love, you can resent somebody for not loving you back. That's codependency. You do something for somebody, and then they don't appreciate it and return it, so then you resent them for that thing you offered to do them in the first place.
And just when you thought you could take a breath, the action ramps up to insane levels. This part delivers pure spectacle. Everything, the choreography, the stunts, the soundtrack, comes together in a symphony of pure intensity. You can't help but get caught up in it. The stakes continue to rise, and the culmination of this sequence feels earned, not forced. It's the perfect intersection of storytelling and action, leaving you wanting more. Expect nothing less than a full-throttle climax.
And then he said the next day, I apologize for some of the things I said last night. I'm lost right now. I'm drowning. So he's making her feel guilty for his issues. He says, I'm sober. I also lived the toxic path for nearly 2 years. I know you see the best in people, as do I. I've tried for too long. She's a lost soul. Reflecting back on all the red flags, I ignored those. Reflecting back on all the red flags, I ignored those out of our relationship is what's killing me throughout. I promise I'm not crazy like Kaylin. I'm just more aware and not afraid to say anything. I felt my tongue in a lot of stuff and saved her multiple times. I've always put her first in everything I did. Want to know what I got in return? Her mom taking a trip to Paris with her. Her sister taking a trip to Miami with her. Her telling me she needs to feel independent and free. Her admitting she texted her ex of 5 years. Her seeing Landon. Where does it go next? He goes, I won't be embarrassed anymore. She can go on national TV and talk about something I begged her not to do, but this will be her last. She's an abuser.
Here we find ourselves at the final showdown, and it's nothing short of epic. The slow build-up to this moment has been carefully crafted, and now it's time for the ultimate payoff. The emotion is palpable as our characters face their toughest challenge yet. Every move is calculated. Every decision could mean the difference between victory and defeat. The direction here is brilliant, allowing tension to rise with each passing second. The final moments, simply unforgettable. A true test of everything that's come before.